Before we dive into the Amazon-Trump tariff drama of 2025, let's take a step back and get clear on what a tariff actually is, and why it matters so much in the world of global trade. At its core, a tariff is a tax placed on goods that are imported from other countries. Think of it as a kind of entry fee that foreign products have to pay to get into the country. It's a tool governments use to influence what comes in, and at what price. When a shipment of electronics, clothes, or toys arrives from overseas, customs officials calculate the tariff and add it to the cost. This extra charge makes those imported goods more expensive for businesses, and eventually for shoppers like you and me. The main idea behind tariffs is to make imported products costlier, so that homegrown alternatives look more attractive. This is supposed to help local industries grow, protect jobs, and keep money circulating within the country. For example, imagine a Chinese-made widget costs £5, while an Ohio-made widget costs $7. If the government slaps a £3 tariff on the Chinese widget, suddenly the Ohio version is the better deal for shoppers. In this way, tariffs act like a protective barrier, an economic wall that shields local businesses from foreign competition. It's a classic move in the playbook of protectionism. But here's the catch. Tariffs don't just hurt foreign companies. They often mean higher prices for everyone at home, because businesses usually pass those extra costs on to consumers. That means your next shopping trip could get a lot more expensive. So, when you see a price tag that suddenly jumped, there's a good chance a tariff is behind it, hidden in plain sight, affecting your wallet. Fast forward to early 2025. The Trump administration didn't just bring tariffs back, they made them headline news, rolling out sweeping new taxes on imports. Their argument? That countries like China were gaming the system, flooding the US with cheap goods and putting American workers at a disadvantage. Tariffs, they said, would level the playing field. Instead of quiet negotiations, the administration built a massive tariff wall, forcing companies, retailers, and even everyday shoppers to rethink where their products come from and how much they're willing to pay. This bold move set the stage for a high-stakes economic experiment, with Amazon, one of the world's biggest retailers, and its millions of customers caught right in the middle of the action. The decision was polarizing, sparking heated debates, protests, and wild swings in the global stock markets. Suddenly, tariffs weren't just a policy, they were a daily headline. Tariffs became a household word, discussed at dinner tables and debated on talk shows, as families tried to make sense of rising prices and changing shopping habits. And for Amazon, the world's online shopping giant, the real drama was just beginning, reshaping how we all shop and what we pay in ways no one could have predicted. When Trump returned to power in 2025, his administration didn't just tweak trade policy, they unleashed a tariff tsunami. A blanket 10% duty hit nearly all foreign goods, from German cars to Korean TVs. But China got the real hammer, a staggering 145% import tax. The message was clear: importing from China would now be prohibitively expensive, pushing companies to rethink their supply chains. The administration also killed the de minimis rule, which had let cheap goods under $800 enter tariff-free. A death blow to e-commerce giants like Shein and Temu. The result? A seismic shock to global trade, with Amazon's business model directly in the crosshairs. The rules of the game had changed overnight. With half its third-party sellers based in China, Amazon's global marketplace was deeply intertwined with international trade. When the US government imposed sweeping new tariffs, the ripple effects were immediate and dramatic. Amazon faced a massive cost surge from the new tariffs. Suddenly, the price of importing everything from electronics to kitchen gadgets shot up, squeezing both sellers and the company itself. Inside Amazon, a radical idea surfaced: show customers exactly how much of each price was due to Trump's tariffs. Imagine logging on and seeing, base price, $5, Trump tariff, $7.25, total, $12.25. It would have been a bold move, one that no major retailer had ever tried before. This would have made every purchase a political statement, putting the blame for higher prices squarely on the White House. It would have forced shoppers to confront the real-world impact of trade policy every time they checked out. The plan aimed to manage customer anger and shifted away from Amazon. Executives debated whether radical transparency could actually build trust, or if it would just spark more outrage. But as word leaked, alarms rang from Amazon HQ to Washington. The idea quickly became a hot topic in both corporate and political circles, raising the stakes for everyone involved. The idea was scrapped. Amazon wasn't ready to pick a public fight with the administration. The risk of retaliation was simply too great. Officially, Amazon blamed the end of the de minimis rule and new cost structures, but few believe politics played no role. The company's public explanation left many unconvinced. The risk of provoking Trump, tweets, regulation threats, antitrust investigations, was too high. Amazon knew that a single tweet could trigger a wave of scrutiny, or even new regulations. Instead, Amazon quietly baked the tariff costs into final prices, leaving customers to wonder why everything suddenly cost more. There was no explanation, just higher bills at checkout. The moment for radical transparency passed. The company moved on, and the public never saw what might have been. Amazon chose self-preservation over confrontation. The decision was made behind closed doors, with only a handful of people truly understanding the stakes. The White House avoided a direct challenge. For now, the uneasy truce between tech and government held, and American shoppers were left in the dark about what was driving up their bills. The true cost of tariffs was hidden in plain sight, buried in the fine print. The drama played out behind the scenes, but the impact was felt at every checkout. In the end, the story of the tariffs was written not in headlines, but in the everyday purchases of millions of Americans. Amid the chaos, a wild rumor spread. Amazon was leaving the US in protest. The truth? Pure fiction. Amazon never planned to leave its biggest market, where it's invested billions and employs over 1 million Americans. The rumor twisted a real debate about how Amazon would handle tariffs into a clickbait fantasy. The real issue was pricing and supply chain strategy, not a corporate exodus. But in 2025's hyper-partisan climate, nuance got lost. The story went viral because it fit political narratives, not because it was true. News outlets had to issue corrections. Amazon was staying put and shelving the tariff display idea. The episode was a case study in how misinformation spreads faster than facts. The reality was less dramatic, but far more important. When news broke about Amazon's possible tariff display, the White House erupted. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt called it a political attack on the president's agenda, urging Americans to buy American. Then Trump himself got involved. He called Jeff Bezos directly. We don't know what was said, but the outcome was clear. Amazon dropped the plan. Trump publicly praised Bezos for doing the right thing, a rare moment of approval. The message was unmistakable. Challenge the administration, and you'll get a call from the top. For Amazon, it was a lesson in the limits of corporate power. The president's intervention showed who really held the cards. Amazon chose to back down, avoiding a public showdown. The White House claimed victory, and the crisis was over. The tariffs hit American wallets fast. Prices on everything from electronics to toys shot up as import costs soared. Analysts warned of inflation and a possible recession. Cheap goods were suddenly a thing of the past. Amazon's rivals, Shein and Temu, were especially hard hit, losing their tariff-free edge. They raised prices, and the market for ultra-cheap imports changed overnight. Shortages loomed for products mostly made in China: baby prams, umbrellas, electronics. Companies scrambled to find new suppliers, but shifting supply chains isn't quick or cheap. Amazon's scale gave it some advantage, but even it faced disruption and higher costs. The new trade landscape forced a total rethink of sourcing and pricing. For millions of shoppers, the impact was immediate and painful. The era of endless cheap imports was over, and the scramble to adapt had just begun. The 2025 tariff clash was just the latest twist in the long, complicated saga between Donald Trump and Jeff Bezos, a rivalry that had captured headlines for years and shaped the intersection of business and politics in America. Their feud was legendary. Trump repeatedly accused Amazon of dodging taxes, crushing small businesses, and monopolizing markets, while he also targeted Bezos's Washington Post, labeling it fake news and a personal enemy. The public watched as two titans clashed, each wielding immense influence in their own spheres. In 2019, the conflict escalated when Amazon sued the Pentagon, claiming Trump's personal bias had cost them a $10 billion cloud computing contract. The lawsuit made headlines highlighting just how deeply personal and political their rivalry had become. But by 2025, the icy relationship had begun to thaw. Bezos attended Trump's inauguration, Amazon made a significant donation to the committee, and Bezos even publicly praised some of the administration's economic policies, signaling a new willingness to engage. A pragmatic truce replaced the open warfare of previous years, as both men recognized the benefits of cooperation over conflict. So when Trump called about the tariffs, he wasn't phoning an enemy anymore, but a new, if uneasy ally, someone who understood the stakes and the need for compromise. The resolution was swift. Bezos had already signaled a willingness to cooperate, eager to protect Amazon's interests and maintain stability in a volatile political climate. Their relationship had evolved into a transactional alliance, built on mutual benefit rather than trust or friendship. It wasn't friendship but mutual self-interest, a calculated partnership where both sides stood to gain. The tariff episode showed just how quickly the lines between business and politics can blur, and how rapidly relationships can shift from open conflict to strategic cooperation. In the end, power and pragmatism ruled the day, reminding everyone that in Washington, alliances are often forged not out of loyalty but out of necessity. The Amazon tariff story was a masterclass in media confusion. Facts: Trump imposed huge tariffs. Amazon considered showing them to customers, then scrapped the idea after a call from Trump. Fiction: Amazon was leaving the US, completely false. Also fiction: Amazon's decision was purely business, not political. Timing suggests otherwise. Separating fact from rumor is crucial. False narratives distort debate and mislead the public. The real story is about executive power, corporate calculation, and the hidden negotiations shaping our economy. It's more complex and more revealing than any viral headline. And it matters, because these stories shape how we understand the world. So, what's the takeaway from the Amazon-Trump tariff saga? It's a vivid example of how political decisions in Washington hit your wallet at the checkout. Tariffs weren't just policy, they were a price hike on everyday goods. The episode exposed the fragile balance between corporate giants and political power. It showed how global supply chains can unravel overnight, and how quickly misinformation can spread. Understanding what really happened matters for every consumer. This wasn't just about Amazon or Trump, it was about the hidden forces shaping our economy, and the consequences will ripple for years to come.